What's good, guys? Fantasy Joe back here with my wide receiver values. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section down below. I'll respond as always. Yeah, wide receiver values, basically guys who I think are going later in the draft than they should, that are going to give you a nice return. Be that guy you can get a round or two later than they should be going and plug right into that starting lineup, or get some value at that flex spot, whatever they may be, wherever they're going in drafts. So let's hop into it. First off, I have Keenan Allen as my first wide receiver value, currently going as a wide receiver 18 in the middle of the fourth round. Really like the value that we're getting on Keenan Allen right now. He's banged up last year, but from weeks 10 to 18, he was the wide receiver 4 in all of fantasy football. His 17-game pace last year was for 1,275 yards, 112 receptions, 7 receiving touchdowns. And that's the thing I want to talk about today is the touchdowns, which I think could go up pretty dramatically with Justin Herbert being such an elite quarterback. 2021, he threw 38 touchdowns. Last year with Keenan Allen banged up, with Mike Williams missing some games, with their star left tackle Rashawn Slater missing almost the whole season. We saw that touchdown number dip down to 25, 13 fewer passing touchdowns. I think he gets much closer to that 38 number, but he easily cracks 30 passing touchdowns, meaning there's more to go around in these wide receivers. I could easily see Keenan Allen getting 8 to 10 receiving touchdowns, and I think that makes him an extreme value in the fourth round when you talk about how many receptions he's going to have. You add that touchdown, those yardage. Basically, you're going to be a back end or top 15 wide receiver, and you can currently get him at a nice value in that fourth round. Going to be consistent as well with those receptions. I think he's a fantasy asset and somebody that I love drafting, where he's currently going in the fourth round of my fantasy football drafts. Okay, moving on to our next wide receiver value. This one is way down the charts, and that just means, like I said, he's even better value. Marquise Brown, currently going as a wide receiver 33, 81st overall off the board. That is late. And let's look at some numbers from Marquise Brown. Obviously, DeAndre Hopkins is gone. Without Hopkins last year, he averaged 12.3 points per game, which would have been the wide receiver 15. And like I said, he's going as a wide receiver 33 currently in drafts. And he was on pace in 2022 for 151 targets, which would have been absolutely absurd. And I think a lot of the reason that he is going so late in drafts is because we don't know for sure when Kyler Murray is going to be back. But I really think that Kyler's going to be back earlier than anticipated. I think there's a chance he returns week 1. I think he'll miss no more than 4 games this season. And if that happens, that means we're drafting Marquise Brown. He's going to be an excellent return on that value. I see him as a wide receiver 2 and somebody I would love to have on my teams. Negative game script also, I think, is actually going to help out the amount of passing volume they have in this offense. I think they're going to be throwing the ball a lot. They have the lowest over-under for wins, according to Vegas, at 4.5. It's not even close how the next team, I think, is at 6.5 wins for their over-under. So that's notably the worst team in the league. They will be throwing in the second half of football games, and Marquise Brown will be there to absorb those targets. He's a clear-cut wide receiver 1 in this offense, and he's a talented football player. We've seen him have good years, even in that Lamar Jackson passing offense that was pretty anemic. You give him Kyler Murray, and I think he'll be good enough with Colt McCoy, whoever is a starter those first few weeks of the season, if it's not Kyler, to be playable. And that when Kyler gets back, I think he'll be a real asset to your fantasy football lineups and a guy that will turn on his ADP for sure. Next up, another wide receiver, similar theme to Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. Missed some games last year, but if you take his target pace for the healthy games that he played in, it was on pace for 134 targets, which is really a good number. 12.5 points per game in those games as well, in half-point PPR. And like I said with Keenan Allen, this is a similar reason why I think these guys are being drafted lower than they should, but the touchdowns could bounce back with Justin Herbert being so good. Mike Williams, big body around the end zone. They obviously drafted Quentin Johnson in the first round this year, but with the passing volume that the Chargers have, I think that both Keenan Allen and Mike Williams could return on their ADP, with Quentin Johnson getting even 100 targets. They were throwing the ball well over 600 times last year. Kellen Moore coming in, he's going to keep the pace of play high. I think he's going to be an upgrade for the offense overall. And like I said, I just think a lot of these numbers are going to increase. And I think a lot of people are fading these guys because of injuries. And yeah, he might not be healthy every single Sunday, but when he is, he's a guy you can plug in that flex where he's going currently as a wide receiver 26, 69th overall. I've got him in the 6th round of plenty of drafts, and that's great value. I really like drafting Mike Williams where he's currently going, especially the flex. He's got that guy who could just absolutely explode in your lineup, and you can plug him in and play him. Last guy I'm going to talk about, guy a little bit higher up on this list, DK Metcalf, currently going as a wide receiver 15, finished as a wide receiver 18 in 2022, so going a little bit higher than he finished last year. You want to ask why that's happening. Well, he had 141 targets in 2022, which is an absolute ton, and here's a key stat. He was second in red zone targets for all of wide receivers last year, but he only had 6 receiving touchdowns in the whole season. I think the number bounces back up to double digits this year, and I think he's going to continue to get a high volume of targets. And when you have the touchdowns come back, I could easily see him finishing as a wide receiver 1 or back end. I think he's going to return on his value. I've gotten him in the 4th round of a lot of drafts. I'm usually drafting either DK or Keenan Allen that 4th round, and I'm liking the value that I'm getting there. Really like it. And honestly, I've consistently gotten it, and that's why I want to point it out. Another guy I'll throw out there, Jalen Waddle. If you're getting Jalen Waddle in the 3rd round of a draft, I love the value there. Some of these guys you might see in the list, you might say, oh, they're a value. They might be coming in another series in my sleepers, my busts, or my league winners. So stick around, hit that subscribe button, and if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. I'll be responding. This has been Fantasy Joe. Thank you guys for watching.